Well, hello and welcome to Let's Get Acquainted with Hillary Gooden, and that's me. So I am so glad to be here this evening. I'm glad to still be on our theme of the International/National Women's History Month. And I have a awesome guest with me tonight, Miss Beneatha Barkley, and she's going to come in. We're going to talk about this topic, this theme that's still being celebrated around the world. And we have a thing or two to say about women and the strides that we've made and what we look forward to in the future. So before we get started with all of that, and on the second half, Miss Beneatha is going to tell us all about who she is. We're going to get acquainted who she is and what she's doing in this world to help others. And so that's what this broadcast is all about. Come in. As you come in, share this broadcast out, tag a friend, then let us know where you're coming in from, and we'll share where we're from for all of you that don't already know. You know I'm from the Chicagoland area, but where is she from? We'll find out after this commercial break. So just prepare for a great conversation, but also make sure that you let somebody know that this conversation is going on. All right. I'll see you on the other side. Hi, busy women leaders. I'm talking to you. Are you juggling your family, your business, your career, and your health? Afraid that if just one ball drops to the ground, everything could fall apart because everybody's looking at you. You're stressed and overwhelmed. You're looking for answers, for help that's real help, for solutions. I have Vibrant Life Solutions that can help you. I am Hillary Gooden, the Vibrant Life Coach, author, speaker, lymphologist, and pastor. I empower busy women leaders with strategies to reduce stress and anxiety while increasing energy, clarity of mind, better sleep, better health, and vitality. Oh yeah, and boost your immunity. If you're ready for that, you say, I need that in my life right now. Let's connect. You can reach me at www.hillarygooden.com. You can direct message me on Facebook or LinkedIn at Hillary Gooden. Or else if you would like to get on a free 20-minute strategy call, a clarity call, go to bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. That's bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. I absolutely believe you got the power to help your body, help you live a more vibrant life. All right, so welcome back. Again, this is Hillary Gooden, and let's get acquainted. And so I'm going to bring my guest out tonight, and we're going to go ahead and get this conversation started. Well, Miss Beneatha,
Hi,
how the world are you?
I am wonderful. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to have you on tonight. I've been looking forward to
Glad to be
it.
here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. And so this is our theme for tonight and for the rest of this month is the International Women's History Month. It's international slash national. It's all over women are celebrated and being celebrated and what the results and things that they've done in the world, those from the past as those that have gone before us, as well as all of us. We're making history. You and I,
Yes,
we're
indeed.
making history even right now.
Yes,
This will go
absolutely.
down in history and people can look at it again and again and again. We'll never know where it might pop up again. And then for
Mhm.
young women behind us, we're leaving footprints. I like that. We're leaving footprints.
There you
What,
go.
what's your
There you
comment
got it. Got,
about that? Let's start tonight.
got to blaze a trail. Look, you had a trail to
Mm-hmm.
follow. Now you got to leave some footsteps for those coming behind. Absolutely.
Yeah. When I think about that leaving footsteps, the footsteps are not all peaches and cream.
No,
Some of the footsteps were potholes.
indeed.
Some of the
Yes,
footholes, we stubbed our toes along the way. We tripped and we got back up. You know,
absolutely.
we but
Some of them you stepped in
still we
quicksand.
made a way.
Yeah,
Girl, come
yes,
on.
indeed.
Some hard times.
I mean,
Yeah, all
even
time.
speaking of
Sometimes
which,
when I go ahead,
no,
go
I'm
ahead.
even thinking about just this whole International Women's Month, and we're talking about footsteps, and literally the feet that are on the ground, the farmers, those who work the
Yeah,
land, long before we even got here, and even till this day, those who work the land, it is footsteps, literally and figuratively, that
yeah.
we move upon in this life, and it is such a beautiful thing
Mhm.
for us to be able to have them laid out for us, and then for us to be conscious of what we're doing for those coming behind.
Exactly. We have to realize we're not in this world alone. And even
Mm-mm.
if, like myself, I don't have children, but
Hmm.
still there are those that follow me, that are watching me, that you don't always know who's watching you and taking steps into your footsteps and say, she can do it. I can do it.
The
Yeah,
one thing that I
I
think that's
love that.
beautiful about
Thank you.
what you do is broadcast out, because you may say you didn't have children that were birthed from your
Yeah,
loins, but you have all kinds of people that you mentor and that you support just through the this broadcast, just through the education, just through your book, just through everything that you're doing on social media. You are
yeah,
assisting and developing those. I think that's when you can use the gifts and the talents that you have to share something powerful to others. That is something that is you're mentoring, nurturing, and developing all the children, because it's the fruit of the land. Hillary, you are paused. I can't hear you right now. I cannot hear Hillary right now. I'm not sure if she is still on the show, but if you are still listening or still with us, you're
wow.
back.
Sometimes you got situations like this. And you just have to keep right on moving forward. Gather yourself and then make
Mhm,
your next step. So
mhm.
sorry about that, people. Sometimes you have technical difficulties and it's beyond what I can do. But what I can do is push the button to come back in. So here we are.
Yes.
But I was just talking about how sometimes, even on social media, some of the people that reach out to me are young people. And you just said, okay. And then I had someone talk to me a couple of weeks ago and said, he was calling me like a mother. And I was thinking, it sounds weird because I know I'm not physically a mother, but I know that there are those who are watching and they look up to you, look up to myself, look up to you, to help show them the way. And so with that, I'm glad to be that person to do it. This women's movement got started back in 1908, as a matter of fact. 19, in March of 1908, there was a women-led labor movement in New York City. uh, that laid the framework for this whole Women's History Month. And there were, if you could read this comment, if you don't mind, once it comes up.
Sure, there were around 15,000 women that marched for shorter work hours, better pay, voting rights, and to end child labor.
Yeah, I always, every time I see this statement, Beneatha, I think about it was 1908. 15,000 women gathered together. Can when you just put those two things together, that was a powerful, powerful uprising, because they could not be denied. Their voices
Sure.
could not be denied. What does it
And
bring to mind when you just read that?
actually, it really is starting to make me think about just how many movements that included women that have
Hmm.
come, right, just over the time, and the personal stories of those women, the stories that are in there about their struggle, about the, the women are in the workforce, they're in the
Hmm.
home, and then the children are working,
Yes.
and they are really the pillar of the family because
Yes.
they are the people who feed the family. They're the people who get the schedules together for the family. They're the people
Yeah.
who make sure that the seniors and the elders are taken care of so that
Hmm.
they can enjoy long life. They are really a huge part of the glue. So when I think about, wow, they had to get to that place to even still fight for their own rights as
Yeah.
a woman, to say, hey, let's look at everything that we do
Yeah.
here.
That's
And
true.
but the power of the collective, I think, is at the end of the day, as you said, undeniable, and it is a
Hmm.
force to be reckoned with. And when people choose to come together for a specific purpose and know exactly what they want, not just come together just to come together, but it is
Yeah.
very specific here: shorter work
Yes.
hours, better pay, voting rights, and to end child labor. They knew exactly what they wanted. They came together to fight for it. And I think that's even powerful to this day.
Yeah. I was just reading, when you do stuff like this, you find yourself reading this article, that article. And I was reading where it said that the workforce is 57.9% women,
Hmm.
but the pay is still not equal pay. The men still make more in comparable positions, make more than women. So we're still fighting for those two things to come into some kind of balance here.
I always like to really dig into those statistics, and Thomas
Hmm.
Sowell is someone who I read quite a bit of, and he's an economist. And one of the things that
Okay.
he talked about, he's got several books, but one of the things that he talked about in his book is, hey, can we break those statistics down? And when we say break them down: single female, no children; single
Hmm.
male, no children,
Yeah.
in the same role. What is the pay difference? S-
Girl.
Married female, married male with children in the same role, what is the pay difference? And oftentimes we find that the many of the pay differentials really do have to do with the home life, how long they were able to sustain being in the role. And so some of that has to deal with the man doesn't really ever have to come out of the workforce because he doesn't have to have children.
Right.
But the single woman who didn't have children, stayed in the workforce, is usually paid
Hmm.
comparable to that single male, or who also stayed in the
Hmm.
workforce, which is
Yeah.
very interesting. But it's a smaller percentage that
Yeah.
are able to achieve that. But I love hearing about those wins because it
Yeah.
means that not everybody is underpaid.
Exactly. And that's true too. In some settings, you said, man, there are more women that are working, and there are more women of color. Because we're women of color, more women of color that are not only working, but in couple relationships, they're making more. I know it caused a
Yeah.
problem when I was married, when I got a substantial raise. My husband at the time, he just He could not handle it. And I thought, oh wow, this is going to be great. We'll be able to do this and we'll be able to do that. And I saw the look on his face as I was talking. It was not a look of joy. And it's sad. It made me feel so sad. Well, he
Mm,
was feeling sad, but it made
mm.
me feel so sad because the relationship was never the same. And it wasn't, it was him. He couldn't deal with that. And I just thought, wow, wow, that was the beginning of the end,
Oh, I'm
really.
so sorry to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I
no.
didn't say it for all of that, but just to say
Yeah.
it can cause uh, issues, because there are, like you said, everybody is not underpaid.
Everybody's
We
not
got more
underpaid. Yeah,
educated people
sure.
who are definitely worthy of of the pay.
You
You
know,
know,
but I also think you bring up a really good point because when you're looking at these women, you're going back to the 1900s of women who
yeah,
were saying, hey, shorter work hours, better pay, voting rights, they were then starting to exercise their voice. So
yes,
then when you look at what is equality in the home, right? So what is equality in the home? Does that, uh, how does pay enter into the relationship? So just
yeah,
like in your scenario, pay entered into the relationship and it was his
yeah,
pride, it was his joy, it was a definition of himself, of
yeah,
of
yeah,
what might be defined as this is a part of my manhood. So then when we're looking at women and we're going back to the International Women's Month, what
yeah,
is the definition of womanhood when we're coming
yeah,
all the way
yeah,
to today? Because the woman now is making her voice heard on so many different levels. We've yet to
absolutely,
have the leader of the free world be a woman, but we're on our way
yeah,
and
yes,
we're making strides. And
mm-hmm,
so now I do think you have a great point in this is a discussion. This is a
yes,
really, because how do you now balance? It's a different woman, it's a different life, and pay equality doesn't have to change the roles in your
yeah,
home. You can
right,
define the roles in your home regardless of pay.
exactly,
There's so many other things. There's so much more that an individual is worth than just pay. So
yeah,
now we're redefining those roles, which is redefining our culture.
yeah. And it's so amazing coming through the pandemic and coming through, the after year, and now we're into another year of just trying to find our footing again.
Yeah.
And there were so many people who found themselves off of their jobs, working from home, who have
Hmm.
said, you know what, I cannot see myself going back to just a job back to as usual.
Right.
So many people found themselves and what they really love to do. Maybe those things that they thought about but they couldn't because they worked every day and they didn't have time. And it's just so
Yes.
amazing of the different businesses, entrepreneurs that have evolved, and come forth with some really great ideas that are making people rich there, and rich in more ways than one.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that people have found their passions, and I
Hmm.
think that in itself is a way to be rich. Rich can mean so many things. It doesn't
Yeah,
just equate to money. You can be rich in family. You can be rich in
yes.
health. You can, just like with what you do, you're talking about the lymphatic system, and you can be
Hmm.
rich in health because I could
Yeah,
have $50 million today. And if I'm not healthy, I can't do anything with that money tomorrow because I can't get up out the bed. So,
right, right, exactly, exactly.
so
Yeah,
I think, yes, I think this time that we've been in for the last 2 years has really allowed people to really figure out, when I get up out the bed, am I happy? Is there
yeah,
something that really drives me? I know there was a quote that I read recently that said, maybe it's not that you're overworked and tired every day because of what you do. Maybe it's
mhm,
you're overworked and tired every day because you haven't found what sparks life in you.
yeah. It's nothing like finding that spark.
Yeah.
There's nothing like finding that spark. And I found my spark before I left my job, in 2019.
Okay.
It, I knew it was time to go.
Mm.
It was time to leave. But I felt it was the time to leave. God had given me the pieces. I felt like there were three pieces, but one piece I didn't really know how that was going to come about. He gave me the scripture, beloved, I wish above all things that you prosper, be in good health, even as your soul prospers. So I figured I got the soul prosper part down. I'm a pastor. I've been born again since 1985. Been through, I got that part. And
Sure.
then the when he said, be in good health, even as your soul prospers, the first part is everything else. So I figured, okay, I think I got the everything else part, but this
Yeah.
health part, me and health, what am I supposed to? And then I bumped into this whole thing about the lymphatic system, and
Really?
and found, and when I did, I knew this is the missing piece. Now,
Ah,
Lord, when can I leave this job? When can I go? When can I go? And and I was just so happy. But that spark, it is nothing like that spark. You are so right.
I tell
And
people all the time, I say, listen here now, you have this car, right? You have this big automobile. Everybody thinks, oh, it's the engine, you got to have the engine, the carburetor. So if you don't have those spark plugs, if those tiny little spark plugs are not working, that car is
mhm,
going nowhere.
nowhere.
That spark is so important. And I
Hmm.
totally agree with you. Once you get it, it's just like, boom, I got to start
Yeah,
driving.
you cannot stay the same.
Mm-mm.
That spark invokes change.
Yes.
And the theme for this month, this year, for Women's History Month, every year there's a theme. And so this year is done by the United Nations. So they announced the theme for 2022. It focuses on women in the context of climate change,
Hmm.
gender equality today for
Mhm.
a sustainable tomorrow. And
Mm.
I'm gonna tell you, when I saw this, my first thought came to young people,
Mm.
young girls, even that I have seen documentaries on or um, showcasing on young girls that are doing things for climate change. And I'm
Mm.
like, look at God. This girl
Mhm.
got a mind that's scientific, that's that know this stuff and wants to know more of this stuff and coming up with God ideas on how to help to have a sustainable future in some of the different things that I've seen. And it just make me feel so good because I never have had a scientific mind, but somebody has to have it.
And you know what? I think that that is another evolution that is happening.
Yeah,
Um, Organizations, schools, homes, families are
yeah,
really focused on the female being educated in science, and even
yes,
earlier than later. Before, it used to be science and math was a male thing. All of
yeah.
the places that you would go, all of the engineers were men, all of the
Hmm.
scientists, the geologists mostly were men. And even till this day, it's overwhelmingly men. However,
Yeah,
you are now starting to really see all of these, even like Black Girls Code, you're getting
yes.
people in IT, they're really getting into the STEM area
Hmm.
as well
Yeah.
as agriculture, even
Yes,
farming. You're
yes, that's
starting
the
to
other
see
piece.
getting women heavily in, and abroad internationally, women are really into farming. In some
Yes,
countries, they're 50% of the farmers.
yes, true, true. I believe that. It's just so amazing. It's no other time. This is a phenomenal time
It is.
for girls and women to
Mhm.
stand tall on the back of those 15,000 women, that stood up for their rights, for our
Yeah.
ancestor women that
Yeah.
stood up, that did what they had to do for us to be here to do what we do. And we have to always remember there definitely were those ahead of us that made this way. Whether you
Sure.
realize you stepping, I mean, even if it's just stepping in your mother's or your grandmother's, your great grandmother's footsteps, We have to acknowledge, that's what this is all about, to acknowledge women and celebrate women and what they have contributed and what's being contributed now that we can see, even like the judge, what's her name? Oh, I think Katanji, um,
Oh, yes.
being,
Mhm.
going through the hearing right now. It's
Sure,
just
absolutely. Like right
no
now, right
time
now.
like now. Right now, right now. I love it.
Been
I
watching it
love
all
it.
day, the confirmation hearings. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yes. And so I'm just glad we had a chance to have this conversation because you said we have it for this 1 month, and
Mhm.
for that one day they have a week, but it's all within March.
Mhm.
But it's just
Yes.
something that we want to celebrate. Is there a woman, or maybe a couple, 2 or 3 women, that made a notable, what I call a notable, remarkable impact upon who you are today, that you'd like to mention?
There are multiple women. I've been blessed in my life to have incredibly powerful, strong women, and I'll start with my mother. My mother lost her mother at the age of 12,
Mm,
and even in the midst of that, found a way with her family's support to continue on, get her um, next steps in life, and then meet my dad and develop a relationship with him and get married and have children. But the the value system that I learned from her was resilience, finding a
mm,
way to make joy when it is not necessarily the happiest time. And and also I remember one thing. My dad used to go out and cut the grass, right? And he would do the hedges, and we went out to help him one day, and I thought I had a better way of doing the hedges than my dad. I'm like, dude, why are we doing it this way? And I go to make some recommendations, and my dad is like, no, no, I've been doing this for years.
right, right,
Stay in a child's place. You just do
right,
what I
right.
ask you to do and move on to the next thing. And my mother said to me, why are you making this so difficult?
Mm-hmm.
Your job is to come out here and make life fun. He doesn't need you to tell him how to do the hedges. Come out here and have a good time. What are we
Yeah, yeah,
doing? Get the water and have a good time. When
yeah,
you
yeah,
get back into the areas that are of your expertise, then you worry about your expertise, but this is his expertise. Stay
yeah,
in
yeah,
your lane. And I
yeah,
use that all throughout the rest of my life. I don't want to jump
yeah.
in other people's lanes and try and
Right.
drive where they are. Then you got all this extra conflict. And she made our home a very peaceful and loving home in a place that you could have saw them being in conflict on so many different things, and she taught us as children to grow up and how to be supportive of other people's gifts and strengths.
Mm,
So she's one person that I would definitely say that is an inspiration for me. And
mm-hmm,
I could name multiple others that are professional inspirations for me because
mm-hmm,
when I started getting into working in my life, I sought after top professional women. If they were number one in their game, I wanted to send them an email. I wanted to connect with them. I wanted to find out how you got to where you are. And so in every organization that I've worked with, there has been a mentor. There has been someone who guided me, gave me advice, and supported me throughout. And I'm so grateful for all of those women. I've had a lot of female leaders, and I've been very blessed in the sense that every one of them imparted some wisdom on me, some encouragement to me that led me to my next steps.
oh, that's wonderful. I love that. Me too. My mom has been, I learned from her, whether she was actually teaching me, or I was watching her
Right.
live her life, and being
Hmm.
that one that made bold moves where others wouldn't, and just always making a way, and not being, she was not scared of things. And if she was, I didn't know it. And I would think, ooh, I'll just follow her. I'll just follow her, and it's just amazing. But
Mm,
I had a teacher in sixth grade,
mm.
and the school that I went to, and I went to Limbo. Well, you know what we were supposed to say. I'm from Chicago, and you're from Chicago too, right?
I live in Chicago, yeah.
Yeah. And so I went to Limblom Tech,
Mhm.
and so, but the only reason I went to Limblom Tech was because of my eighth grade teacher, and you had to take an exam, an entrance exam, to get in there, and just the word exams made me afraid. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, so the principal came around. Who from this class is going to take the exam? Whose name I need to put? And so I didn't sign the paper. My teacher, I remember she came to my desk, and now that I'm an adult, she had to probably be about 5 feet, 5 feet 2 or 3, but she seemed really tall to me at the time because of the way she carried herself, you know.
Mm.
But she came to
Mhm.
my desk and she looked me straight in the eye
Mm.
and she said, Hillary, I noticed you didn't put your name on the list. I said, you
Mm.
have to take a test. And she said, I don't know what all she said at that point. All I know is that by the time she got through talking to me, I want to know where's the list. Okay, where's the list? And I ended up, being accepted at that school, and it was
Mm.
just so amazing. I always remember her, because
Mm.
my life could have been a whole lot different as far as the
Mm.
people I encountered and everything. Had I just gone to the high school that was for my area. Instead, I went to a
Mhm.
school that was students from all over the city,
Wow.
from all over the city. And it was a diverse group of students, white, black, uh, Asian, you know.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
really amazing. So she always stands out for me. And then my mother, I've learned so many things from her along the way as well.
Yeah.
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 So we have come to the time where we get to hear about you. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
tell us whatever it is you would like to share with us about Beneatha Barkley, and
Mhm.
then what it is that you do in this world where you help other people. And
Yeah.
we would like to know that. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I'm going to just step back and give you the floor for a moment. All right.
Okay. Let's do it. Over the last couple of years, there's been something that ultimately transformed my life. I went in to get my health report at the beginning of the pandemic just to get a better understanding of what is my immune system like. Am I prepared for this pandemic? What are my numbers like? And it wasn't, I didn't do this alone. I was on this journey with more than one person. And in the process, those numbers came back and we began to look at, well, what do we need to do to build our immune system? What do we need to do to be prepared so that we don't fall into this bucket of those who are unable to fight off this disease that's now plaguing our country and the world? So we went on this journey of a juice fast, then going plant-based eating, then looking at, okay, now it's time to exercise 3, 4 times a week. Now, oh my goodness, the numbers are dropping. We're starting to manage the weight. We're starting to move those numbers into the right direction. We're starting to swing the pendulum. Yet, we're still seeing some areas of opportunity. So what do we do? Well, we then looked at stress levels. So we're managing the weight. We've got the eating down to some level of consistency. We didn't go 100% plant-based. Now, don't let me kid you on that. We still were eating meat at least once or twice a week. Um, However, we then got into stress. How do you manage stress? And then how do you begin to stabilize this lifestyle. And that's ultimately what we came to the revelation of, is this a lifestyle change? This whole building your immune system is not a quick fix. It's not a, oh, I can go and drink a shake and 3 days later I'm all perfect and ready. It just didn't quite work like that. It was something that over the last year and a half, we had to commit to 100% in getting the proper sleep, getting in the bed at the right time, and understanding that your body heals at night. Everything you're doing to break it down during the day, it has to restore and heal in the evening. So, whether you're working out, tearing up the muscles, ripping them apart, whether you're doing hard cardio, running, doing bouncing on the trampoline, or just mobility exercises, you are your body's going to need to repair, and it needs to get through all the sleep cycles to do that. Whether you're fasting, your body still has to repair, and then all the brain activity throughout the day, your body has to repair. So you got to go back to sleep. Water, rising with the sun, going to sleep when the sun goes down. These were very basic things that you did when you were a kid, right? You had a bedtime. Your parents said you can't eat after a certain hour. You got to go to bed at a certain time. Even no sweets after a certain hour. I remember when we were children, we couldn't have sweets after a certain hour, and I love sweets. Twinkies, particularly, those were my thing, and I know they're made here in Chicago. So I haven't had a Twinkie in years, though. But in getting to that place, I learned basically 5 things that were really important: sleep, exercise, eat, de-stress, and a strong support system. It wasn't something I could have done alone. So those 5 things are the seeds of what I've come out of this pandemic with, transitioning and transforming my life and others' lives, and really being able to assist in sharing those secrets of, well, they're not even really secrets. They're out there all over all over the world. Proper sleep, getting a balanced diet, getting some exercise and movement, being able to manage stress levels, and then the support system. Things that I found to be so incredibly important: support system and managing stress. It wasn't so much that stress is a bad thing. There is a study that was done, and the study spoke to that the individuals who looked at stress as being stress were had much more of a negative effect to their body than those who looked at stress as something that propelled them into their next steps, that they had courage to move to that next level. And so you had to really look at, how do you manage stress? How do you look at it? Do you look at it as something that allows you to move to your next level, as just a challenge? Or do you look at it as, oh my God, this is heavy, it's weighing me down? And if you look at it as something that it's a challenge to move to the next level, then all of your endorphins and your dopamine is moving in a completely different direction than if you look at it as something that weighs you down. I can't hear you.
I love that, is what I was saying. Uh, that is how you look at it, because your mind and your body is taking its cues from you.
Hmm.
From and that's sometimes people look like, that's what that don't make sense, but it
Right.
really does. Your mind believes everything you say, and then it tells the
So
brain how to
true.
be and how to send signals.
Yep.
So is it sending the signal for the cortisol,
Right.
which is,
Exactly.
or is it sending the signal for the good feel chemicals? you know
Absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
cortisol can cause weight gain. It can cause, it can come and don't want to leave.
Right, because that's like the stress hormone. The cortisol is
Yes,
the stress hormone, but you need it.
you
It's
do need
just,
it.
is it overactive or is it underactive? What's happening with it? And it's so critical that you manage it properly in your body.
Yeah, yeah, because we need, like you said, we need those moments of stress, that the kind of stress that's going to trigger maybe the cortisol, because it's an emergency situation that you need to act, you need to move, you need to do something now. But you shouldn't be in that mode day after day after
Right.
day.
Right.
That's when the problem comes in, and that cortisol is continuing to be triggered, and it's just flowing through your body, saying, "Where am I supposed to go?" Well, let's just crowd up here. And you said, "Man, where
Yes.
did this come from? Where did that come from?"
Totally. I used to be a cheerleader, and one of the things that I loved, absolutely loved about being a cheerleader and being a dancer were those, like where we are now, March Madness, right? You're in the middle of
Mm,
the hot games. And
yeah,
that would, oh, the energy, the
yeah,
excitement and the intensity of what do you got to do next? What's got to happen? And boom. And
right,
that level,
right,
exactly, that level of excitement and adrenaline just takes you to a whole nother level. And I absolutely love that. I love that environment and that level of excitement. And so I always encourage people to get yourself into something that excites you, that
yeah.
gets you to that level of, I'm going to jump out my seat and scream. I'm going to run down the street. I've got something that I'm so excited about.
That I need to move my body.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm having an emotional reaction. And that is,
Exactly, exactly.
and
I
it's
loved
such
it.
a good thing. Or even something that challenges you. You know, I have
Yeah.
friends who love bungee jumping. I haven't done it yet, but they
Mm,
want that rush, and so they go
yeah.
pew, and
Yeah.
or skydiving. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of these extreme sports that people will just go and do or enjoy, whatever it is for you, find a way to get something in your life that adds
Yeah.
that extra oomph.
That extra oomph. I like that. I like that. You were talking about sleep, and look, like I've been. This is also National Sleep
Sleep
Month. I
awareness
don't know,
month, yeah.
Sleep Awareness Month, right?
It
And so,
is.
I talked about that a little bit on Instagram, I think. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was also talking to somebody recently that had gone on, well, still on this fast. Were fasting for 21 days.
Mm,
At the end, on the 21st day, is when she was sharing that
mm,
the fibromyalgia that she
mm,
had been healed from, the
mm,
symptoms had returned. And I could hear
mm,
in her voice that she was a little fearful and a kind of afraid, like, what, God, how could you be allowing this to come back on me?
mm,
And I just wrote to her right quick because it was online,
mhm,
in the back comment section. The body heals in reverse.
mhm,
And she was like, I heard what you said, but I don't know what you mean.
mm,
But the body heals in reverse, and it needs time when you're in a fasted mode, and it can have that time to repair and regenerate, like
mhm,
you were talking about. It'll
mhm,
come across things that happen that you're no longer having the symptoms from, or even feeling that emotional trauma about. But our cells memorize that stuff.
mhm,
And when you go on an extended fast, it's gonna come back through that thing and it's gonna fix it. But it's gonna release. Feel those symptoms again, or feel that emotion where you're crying. You don't know
mhm,
why you're crying. I cried
mhm.
all day yesterday, and today I feel fine because
Right.
now it's moving on.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
amazing, amazing.
It's such a process, and like you said, the first time I did the water fast,
Hmm.
it was such a transformation for me. I have to admit that 3rd day, I broke down and I boiled some Jello just to get the Jello juice because I didn't have anything else in my house but water, but I needed something
Hmm.
sweet to
Hmm.
have because I had just so when you do that, obviously you got to start all over because
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
now
yeah.
kind of you have to reset your system again. And I ended up
Hmm.
going back, but once you go through it, like you said, your body goes through withdrawal and then it starts the healing process and it's going to go through
Hmm.
repair and you've got to let that cycle go.
Yeah. And some people go through some deep spiritual stuff,
Yep.
where they're just enlightened, and
Yep.
revelation of things that have happened. They get answers and solutions. It's just an amazing time where the body is going through turning on switches. It's like
You know,
going through the house, turning on the lights, you know.
and I'm gonna circle back to what we were talking about earlier. I really kind of believe now, as you go through these processes, spiritual wealth is
Yes,
probably the greatest wealth you can own.
absolutely.
And
I
that
agree.
is going to drive everything else. That is going to lay that foundation for
Hmm.
financial wealth, for your bodily, physical health, for your
Hmm. Your
relational
emotional.
health, your emotional health,
Hmm.
that spiritual place, because like you say, it transcends all the other places, and then you are able to get into that next level space. And
Hmm. I love it. I wish I could
man,
do that, but that's yeah. I'm not gonna even try because I don't think it's gonna sound the same at all. One more time for me. I love it. I love it. I
I get
love
it for
it.
you.
There we go. There we go. Yay.
Yes.
I love it. You know, that place that is meant for each one of us to tap into.
Mhm.
You know, I was trying to figure what do I call what I do? You know,
Mm,
I know what I do and what my message is. And my message is, as it has been since I started this thing, is telling people you got the power to help your body help you. So
mhm.
now I do have the you got the power system.
Yep.
That's what God has given me, you know, because it's our responsibility
Yes.
to do our part. God
Yes.
has made these magnificent machines to work like no other machine
True.
ever made.
Yep.
But if we don't do our part, simple
Yeah.
things like getting enough sleep,
So
drinking water,
simple. So simple.
sit down and be quiet at times. Stop eating every now and then. Give your body a chance to reset and repair and all that.
So
Watch the
true.
words you speak.
Mm.
Watch the thoughts you allow your mind to entertain.
Yes, because those are poisonous. Those can be poisonous to your system
Absolutely.
and erode the body
It can hurt you at a cellular level.
at a
The words you
cellular
speak.
level.
And I
Yes.
want to acknowledge Apostle Carol Sherman has jumped in, and I just want to say hello, hello. Thank you for coming on.
Hey,
She said,
Carol.
"Blessings. How are you, Pastor?" And then she's also saying here, "You are both." Oh, this is some Sonette Van Bretta. Thank you for coming in. That's someone you know,
Well, thank
but
you,
she
Sonette.
said you are both so beautiful ladies. Thank you so much.
We appreciate that.
Dr. Carol is saying, Pastor Hillary, what do you suggest? They found fungus in my lungs.
Mm.
Fungus is mold, is a form of
Mm.
mold, right?
Mm.
Praise God. Now that I will have to kind of look up, but I'll be glad to get back to you. What I do know is that oxygen heals,
Mm.
right? They tell you that uh, uh, life is in the blood,
Mm.
and life is in the blood because oxygen and nutrients is in the blood.
Mm.
And so oxygen is what heals the body. And when we get stuff like what she just mentioned, fungus or any buildup of cellular waste, they call it different stuff, but that's what it is. It's a buildup of cellular waste.
Mm. There's a couple of other things that I would say that I've read
Yeah.
most recently. Um,
Okay.
Dr. Goldman's book, he has a book, and I believe it's called The Pleasure Trap. But he also runs a clinic in which they do a 40-day water fast, and their
Mm.
whole is cleansing out the body, cleansing disease out the body. And that is one that I could recommend. There's also there's a mucus-free lifestyle book that
What is his name? Oh, it's probably the same guy.
it probably is.
Mucus free.
Yes, it's a mucus-free lifestyle, and there's, I believe her name is Babette. She's all
Oh,
over
it's the
the
guy.
internet, and she's been the author of the book is a guy, and he Arnold, I believe is his name. I'll look it up, but that's another one, and
Mhm.
And then the
Mm,
alkalining
a
your
diet.
body. Yes, the
Yeah,
alkaline,
yeah.
diet is another one.
It is amazing. Do I need to detox? It is amazing the power of fasting, the power
Mhm.
of not eating. After the third day, 72 hours, the body goes into what they call autophagy. I'm sure
Yes.
you're familiar with that term,
Mhm.
autophagy. Now, for those 3 days, the body is kind of beginning to do each part, doing this part, and it's like for the first time being able to do it on its own. The spleen taking care of the spleen, and the lungs doing what the lungs supposed to do. And because otherwise, it's like each part trying to help each part because it never stops.
Mhm.
It just never stops. And when we take that time to uh, to fast, after that third day, the body goes into autophagy. This is a beautiful thing
Mhm.
because in autophagy, that's when the body begins to look for other things that are going on in the body to use for energy since no food is coming along.
And you can hit autophagy from working out as well. You can hit
Okay.
autophagy not just from fasting. You can also hit autophagy from working out. Dr. Goldman's book kind of explains all of that in there as well, because the body, anytime you're doing something extreme to the body, you're
Hmm.
forcing it to move into another space. And so that you can hit it by fasting, but you can also hit it by the working out.
Right. Praise God. So, the body, when it has the opportunity, it will begin to heal itself.
Mhm.
That's the whole point. It will begin to heal itself. It will begin to repair
Mhm.
itself. And so, that's something we could talk about later. But yeah, and CMOS, I don't know that much about CMOS to speak on it. I don't know if you have any information you would like to share about CMOS.
I do know that that's a very popular resource that is used under Dr. Sebi's program.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know Dr. Arnold Earhart has the mucusless diet, and then Dr. Sebi has the alkalining your body, and they use CMOS, but it's part of a system. So, Carol, what you're asking about, I would
Hmm.
really look into the entire system. So, if you're looking at how do I heal my body, you could use herbs, you could use sea moss, but I don't know that it's a one trick solution. It might be
Hmm.
a program, if that makes sense. Like all of these people have programs. The mucusless diet has a science backing the program. The Dr. Sebi's program is alkalining of the body, and that takes some time. So you're looking
Hmm.
at, I would commit to doing some research on some of those different types of programs that are out there that really heal the body, but it's something that you would want to, commit to getting into, or getting a coach that can assist you in one of those areas that can really work you through one of those programs. But allow yourself to commit to it and give yourself a chance to win, because lots of people have great stories about going through those programs and reversing some of the things in their body that they were unable to reverse. And we wish you the
Now,
best of luck.
yeah. Now, what I know is bouncing on the mini trampoline. I'll tell anybody it's because it sounds real simple, but
Yeah,
bouncing on a mini trampoline is a health activity for
sure.
that I promote.
Mhm,
Because when the lymphatic system is working properly, it works to locate stuff
mhm,
like fungus in the lungs, or cancer here,
mm,
or tumor there, or
mhm,
cellular buildup wherever it may be, where they've
mhm,
given it different names depending on where it is. You
mhm.
know, by activating the lymphatic system, and the number one way to do that is bouncing on a mini trampoline. And so, I tell anybody, I call mine my antibiotic.
I love that.
Because it
Yeah,
works, that it kind of gives that kind of effect in the body. Seriously,
sure.
you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
seriously.
There's
I
a
tell anybody to invest in one.
there's
Go
an
ahead.
international, program called Bounce Boogie or Boogie Bounce.
Mm, I'm not
And it
familiar.
and well, they have the music that goes with it because they say your body gets 50% more effective on the trampoline than actually running on a treadmill. So
Yes,
really
absolutely.
getting that power, getting that energy up and rocking your body is something that is so powerful for 30 minutes. You can get
Well,
massive effects from that in just 30 minutes.
and from me as a lymphologist, I'll just share this. What I promote is what's called lymphocyzing, and
Ooh, I
lymphocyzing
love it.
is not the rock out kind of kind of movement, but it's that gentle bounce.
Mhm.
It's that gentle bounce. Like she mentioned that she's on oxygen. She may not have the energy to be doing all of that stuff, but
Right.
that gentle bounce where your feet
Yeah.
don't even have to leave the mat, anybody can do that.
Sure.
5 to 10 minutes at a time
Sure.
will make a difference. It will
It's
make
true.
a difference. And so, you know, that's why this is my life thing. Is if I talk to you about prayer, I'm gonna talk to you about that mini trampoline as well, because
Yeah.
it helps you in with your body. It can help you with your mental state, the peace that it
Sure.
brings to your body, and as well as helping you to be able to calm yourself and get into that place of prayer, meditation, and it's
Oh,
just an
yeah.
amazing thing that it helps the body to do, and
I
that's to
think
do
the
what
other
God
thing too,
intended. You
I
know.
love that.
Oh, where
And
did
I
she go?
think
Oh, there
it's
she is.
also
So yeah, I wanted to say. So are you all? You said that there was a group of you all
Mhm.
that went on this project together
Yes.
at the beginning of the
Project Immune System.
pandemic. Are you all still together doing this, or how? Because that's how we
Yes, absolutely.
met.
Yeah, everyone is still on the path, and
Oh,
really
did we get
everyone
far?
has seen
Okay. So how has it branched out?
so everyone is still on the path. We all had different things that we were looking to get out of it. And that's the beautiful part of it is we were able to see multiple levels of success
Mhm.
throughout the process. So that's why I said there's so many different avenues. And one thing that we all came away with is that we needed to eat more green leafy vegetables. Leafy greens were something that
All right.
we improved on, and we continue to see success. So it's been fun, and it's a lifestyle change. Like you said, just bouncing every day for 5 minutes, just getting your body moving, that's a lifestyle change. Just do it. Get it 5 minutes and pray while you're doing it, or watch TV, or whatever it is. Listen to some. But like you said, anyone can do it, and
Yes.
it's the consistency of doing it, and it can
Yes.
transform your life. So I think that's what we
Mhm.
learned the most is whatever you look at doing, find a path to do it consistently, get into a routine, and you'll
Yes.
see success. Oh, good. Amen. She says she's not on oxygen all the time, being weaned off. Hallelujah.
So I wanted to say, yes, yay! I love it. I love it because breathing is another big key. Oh, my guess is, oh, there she is. You were kind of froze for a little second there. Um, Breathing is the number two way to activate the lymphatic system. So, and have different breathing exercises that people can do. And I tell people, listen, you're breathing anyway. You might as well
Well,
make it work for you,
and statistics show that
you
most
know?
people
And
lose
so
weight through breathing.
do you still have something coming up in April that you would like to
I
talk
do.
about?
We'll have an event coming up for Women's Month. We're going to do it at the end of April, kicking off Women's
Yes.
Month, and then we'll have
It's
an
the
event
breath going
coming up.
out. Hmm.
Yes. So we'll have an event then, and we'll also have an event in Men's Month to
Yeah.
really talking through our that whole process that we went through, and then we'll have guest speakers like yourself that'll be coming on to talk about the lymphatic system, and others that will be coming on to talk through each one of those sections, whether it's sleep, whether it's exercise, whether it's eating, whether it's de-stressing, whether it's support system. We lived it, and so we know it to be true, but we're also bringing in the experts like yourself
Yeah.
that speak to the science of it, and because we have a
Mhm.
lived experience of it. We know it's true. You guys have the scientific,
Yes,
research
yes.
to back it up and really help other people understand it. So we felt like right now it's a great time to help people understand how to take control of their own health.
Yeah. You got the power. You
You
got the
got it.
power to
That's
help
your
your
book.
body help you. And it
It's so
doesn't
true.
always take I just love that. You know, yeah, and that's the name of my book. Exactly. And somebody tried to get me to change. Said, I think you need to change the name. And I was thinking, okay, so tell me why you think I need to change the name? And he said,
Mhm.
people don't believe they got the power. I said, that's why
Mm.
I'm here telling them they do got the power. you
Wow.
know. And then after he read the book, there was no more discussion about that. He said, I loved it, I liked it, I get it. So
Awesome.
thank God.
Awesome.
So I have enjoyed having you on, Beneatha Barkley. And I love social media because we met on LinkedIn.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know, well, that's how we met on LinkedIn. So I'm thankful for all of these different platforms where I met some amazing men and women,
Sure.
from across the world, from Madagascar, UK, out different parts of Africa, and right across town in Chicago. I loved it. Right across
Awesome.
town. So what would be
Indeed.
your last nugget that you would like to leave with the audience tonight?
I think what I would like to leave, and I read this parable this morning, and it's the parable of the talents.
Oh, it's
And you're,
froze a little bit.
oh,
Let it
are you
come
still
back,
there?
Lord. There we go.
Are you? Are we back? Are we back?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, very good. So the last
Yes.
thing I would say is,
Yes.
uh, when I looked at the parable of the talents this morning, because I do my prayer in the morning, take your gifts, because it your gifts will make room for you. Take your gifts, use them.
Yes.
Let your passion flourish. Plant your seeds and watch your harvest grow. Thank you so much for
That it?
having me, Hillary. That's it. I thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Plant your seeds and let them grow. I love that. I love that. You are so welcome. You're very welcome. If you would like to connect with Beneatha Barkley, you can go to use this is her email address. It's heart.beat, like the beats you should eat, BEET at yahoo.com. It's right there on the screen. You can connect with her at heart.beat at yahoo.com. Or else you can connect with her on LinkedIn as well. She'd be glad to she'd be glad to shout you out there
That's
as
true.
well.
I
So
do.
thank you
And
so much. I wanted you to wait for me in the backstage, and I'm gonna say my
sure.
last bit and close out the show. And I
Sure.
thank you so much. You're a phenomenal woman. And I was looking for what could I say about Beneatha because I don't see anything. But people that have given you recommendations on LinkedIn help me they help me to put some beautiful words together. I'm like, oh wow, here it is
Thank
from
you.
people that she's worked with that has some
Thank you.
great glowing things to say about what a wonderful woman she is. So
Thank you. I
that's a good
appreciate
thing.
that.
I love it.
Yes. Let's
Okay,
pass it
so
on. Thank you.
yes. So I'm gonna ask you to stay backstage. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much again for being on. It was a great time. I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Well, I thank God for Beneatha Barkley for coming on the show today and for, helping to push forward this continued celebration and observance of Women's History Month all over the world. There are so many that have made a difference, whose shoulders we're standing on as women that that we never would have known, but it doesn't matter. just as we're standing on their shoulders, walking in the footsteps that have been made long ago, we too are forging footsteps, forging paths, whether it's in the spiritual realm or it's in the secular realm. We're making footsteps, and our footsteps are being followed. So you want to be who God called you to be, do what He called you to do, and He promised you can have whatever is your heart's desire, as we be obedient to His will, His plan, and His purpose. And so that's what I want to leave you with today. As you plant your seeds, you can expect the harvest. So you want to be found doing what He called you to do. So this is the Let's Get Acquainted every Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Where I have a guest on that's showcasing who they are and what they do in this world to help other people. And then you can follow me on Tuesday nights. I'm here for the Vibrant Good Health Show. And that show, I'm talking about all things that you can do to help your body, help you have better health and a more vibrant life. That's Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for coaching, a consultant, or speaker for your next event, you can reach out to me at bit.ly/speak with Hillary. And it's going streaming there, the bottom of the screen, bit.ly/speak with Hillary. For women leaders looking for strategies to transform their emotional and physical health by reducing stress in the body. And I do that by using my You Got the Power system that helps about increased energy, clarity of mind, better health, better sleep, boosted immunity, and vitality. Because guess what? I absolutely believe you got the power to help your body help you, like I said, have better health and a more vibrant life. So thank you for coming in. Again, if you'd like to reach out, is bit.ly/speak with Hillary. Thank you all so much for joining in this conversation tonight. Let's check this last one here. And Laverne Roberts says, thanks for the talented guests. And Apostle Sherman says, good night, you all. Be blessed. I will reach out to you. So thank you all so much. Good night.